Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Hooked on NRL SuperCoach podcast. I'm your host Jacob and we have no Xavier today. Xavier is on a cruise with his girlfriend, absolutely living the life. Now I know he's been tinkering with his trades all day and he's not happy with the Wi-Fi on the cruise, but he won't be able to make it today. So you guys have just got me today. In today's episode, we will be going through a round one review and an analysis of round two TLT, and then also my trades. And I'll mention Xavier's trades as well later on in the episode. Before we get too stuck into it, though, as per usual, we'll shout out the league. We've got 96 now in the league, which is absolutely phenomenal. We had 70 last episode, and we're now up to 96. So we're absolutely loving and stoked with this engagement. We're up to 50 subscribers now as well on YouTube. So don't forget to like, comment, and hit the bell to get the notifications. But yeah, look, with the league, absolutely stoked. Don't forget to join up. You've got till round 10 to do so. The league code is 849156. That's 849156. Now, there are a couple of the contributors in there as well, so we can compare and see how we've kind of gone to them. And obviously, this week has not been a good week for myself or Xavier. I ended up with what was it? It was an 1183, and that put me with a season rank of 60k, which isn't great to start the season. But as we've kind of mentioned in previous episodes, don't get too caught up with your season rank. I wouldn't start worrying about rank till about round 5, round 6. Let the dust settle a little bit. Obviously, all the teams with your Storm players and your Broncos players have gone really well this week because I put on an absolute performance over the weekend. And so, yeah, don't get too caught up in your rank. I'm ranked 60k. I've got 2 top 400 finishes to my name. I'm not too worried about rank round 1. Xavier did a little bit worse than me this week. It's awesome to see that so many guys had a really good start in the league. We can see one of the top scorers that isn't a contributor this week is Bad Doggies, James, with a 1370. Now that's an absolutely massive start, and that's put you in 2.2k. So massive shout out to you, James. We'll do a quick analysis of your team. You got Plathie and Hooker. I like that. You got Smith on the bench. Nice there. You got Carrigan in front row forward. Great pick. You got Horse, Terrell May. Yep. You got McInnes, Watson, and Couchman. Couchman seems to be a good pickup. So you've done well there. Also, you got Eli Katara on the bench, he just looks elite this year. Him and Olakawatu really seem like the guns to own as second row forward. You've got Cleary at halfback. You've got no Hines. You've got Metcalf and Munster. You've got Dewey, Tass, Purdy. Now, your centers look a bit weak, but you've got the triple fullback combo, the Turbo, Ponga, and Walshy. I love the look of that, mate. So you're off to an absolutely great start, mate. So, James, hopefully you can keep it up. If we scroll down to me and Xavier, we're all the way down here because you guys are killing it in the league. So that's really good to see. I obviously got the 1183, putting me with just inside the top 60k, and Xavier got through with a 1178 with a rank of just under 62k. So yeah, not the best starts for us, but again, we're happy with our team makeup, so we're not getting too caught up or worried with our ranks early doors. It's a long season. There's 28 rounds to go, and it can't get any worse. So yeah, we're pretty happy with that, and we'll get sort of stuck in. Well, I'll get stuck into the analysis sort of thing. So we'll just go by. We won't go game by game. Actually, we will go game by game. We'll go game by game. So kicking us off on the Thursday night, we had the Broncos and the Roosters. Now the Broncos put on an absolute clinic and towed the Roosters. I'll just touch on really the main talking points out of this game. Payne Haas, wowee, he looks incredible. He looks like a must-have. I'm going to be bringing him in this week because he just looks unreal. He scored 104 points in 49 minutes. Now, 49 minutes isn't the best, but they just didn't need to utilize him because they had already had the game wrapped up. His first 30-minute stint was one of the most explosive sort of performances I've seen. He is now, it looks like he's been given the offloading pass, and he's now looking, instead of hitting up through the middle, he's now looking to targeting the edge and the centers. And I think that will just bring a bunch of tackle busts and a bunch of offloads, which obviously pay dividends in this game. But yeah, he is someone That is massive. And I think it's a bit of a role change. And for me, it's a must have. Like, I think you must have Payne Haas. You don't need to jump on him straight away, but I know front row forward is kind of stacked this year. We're getting all these good front row forward options, which is a bit of a change compared to previous years. But yeah, Payne Haas with a 104 looked absolutely unreal. We also got Walshy, 95. Look, as a non-Walsh opener, I'll take it, right? Broncos put 50 on the Roosters, and Walsh needed a lot of attack in that to get to that 95. I know Xavier was panicking early doors with him. I think it was like 30 minutes into the match, and he was on 20 points with the line break. He also stuffed up that try, so it could have been a lot more. But yeah, 95 points. Look, I think if you started with him, you're stoked. If you didn't start with him, you're happy enough, right? Iongi got 70 points for 600k cheaper. So bit of analysis there, but that'll be interesting to see how kind of as the season plays out, what strategy is the best to go for there. Is it the three-gun fullbacks or is it the two-gun fullbacks and Iongi sort of thing? So yeah, moving on from them, we got Jesse Arthurs with a 94. That whole left edge from the Broncos looks unreal, and I think they're going to get a bunch of Supercoach points this year. So they are all bit of targets to go for. You got Paddy Carrigan with a 93. He looked great as well. He looked to be offloading. He obviously got some attacking stats in this, but for 40k, for 30k cheaper than Haas, if you don't have any jewels, I would not be opposed to buying Paddy Carrigan for 640k. We're obviously massive on the Broncos this year. I think they're going to do well, and that kind of proved to be correct after the game on Thursday. But yeah, look, 93 points. For me, I would be looking to pay that 30k more and get Haas, but I can't knock anyone sort of wanting to go for the Carrigan route. But yeah, I think a lot of the Broncos put in impressive displays. Cobo, 85 with a hat trick. Look, you take it if you're an owner. Hat trick, you would expect a bit more, but what can you do? Shibasaki looked unreal for someone who's played in the Japanese league and sort of everyone, the talk around him was he's washed. Like, he looked unreal. I don't know if it's a part of him being on that Broncos left edge or the Broncos as a whole, but yeah, he looked really good. So he'll be someone I'll be playing this week in my side. Ben Hunt, obviously 81. Jordan Ricky, 66. Just Gusevsky, 66. Now, we've got it wrong maybe on the Goz. He scored a try, so obviously there's some attacking stats in there, but he looked pretty good on the eye. He also did play 80 minutes, so Piakora obviously had that brain snap with his -11 score here. But yeah, Piakora, he looked I don't know how he's going to get his spot back because Gusevsky looked good, and I think he's going to hold that role. So as we'll get into later, both Haas and Gusevsky are in my trade-in targets this week. That kind of covers up from the Broncos. From the Roosters, Toya obviously looked great. Sendon Smith, 50, got bailed out with a try there. I was a bit worried about him. Also, Corey Pakes, 56 with a try. He looked better than Sendon Smith, and I think I'll be playing him ahead of Sendon Smith this week in the hooking role. But yeah, look, Pakes, 56. It's got a bit of Danny Levi from last year about him. He's going to rely and need these attacking stats to do well. But I think at 232k, he's going to make a bunch of cash, and I'm happy I started with him. Nafu White, 43. Now, his first stint, I think he was on 40 points in like 38 minutes. Like, he had a great first stint, but Robbo just didn't bring him back on. I don't know what the decision was there, why he couldn't come back on, what the rotation was. Maybe because it was such a blowout, he thought he would give his inexperienced forwards a bit more game time. But yeah, he passed the eye test, and I'm happy to hold another week on Nafu. Like, he looks good. Hopefully, we're just looking for an increase in minutes. But if he doesn't get at least 50, 55 minutes this week with the Roosters bench, which we'll get into later, I think there is warrants to trading him. So yeah, Teddy stunk it up. Roosters got flogged on 43. And the only one I'll touch on, the last one, is Wong in this game. So Xavier started with Wong, and look, I think if you started with him, he's probably someone you got to move on real quick. He played massive minutes. I think he played like 70 something minutes, and to get 32, it's just abysmal. Like, obviously the Roosters didn't look good, but yeah, if you got caught in that Sia Wong trap, I would be looking to move on from him. Moving on now to the Tigers Knights game. We had the Tigers winning 8-10 against the Knights. I mean, not the Tigers winning, the Knights winning. the Tigers looked like winning the whole game and just lost it at the end. But yes, as you can see, Terrell May here with the captaincy and 78 points. So after that game, I was pretty happy with the May captaincy. Like I predicted, I think it was 80 points, so 78 points. He looks unreal this year. Lock him into front row forward, but I don't think we can captain him every week. I thought it was going to be a bit of a lower scoring round with round one. Like as usual, it's not really a high scoring round. But Tommy Turbo and the Seagulls just looked unreal. At least I have Tommy Turbo, but I didn't captain him. And not captaining Turbo, watching him go ham against those Cowboys, it was a bit of a hard watch. So I won't be captaining Terrell May again this week, but look, I'm not too mad that I captained him round one. It was what the gut was saying. It's what I went for. At 78 points, I can't complain. We've also got Greggy Marzu. Now, he looked great. He scored one try in that 83, but first of all, the Knights as a whole looked very shaky and very rusty. So I think moving forward, that whole left edge, Marzu, Ponga, Sharp, Lucas, should all see an increase. And they already had a great game. We were massive on them in the preseason and they kind of produced the goods. Who else have we got to touch on? We'll just touch on my players to kind of get through this quicker. Dewey, 41. He was on like 30 something in the first half. He looked really good. And then I think it might just be a bit of fatigue and a lack of match fitness. So he didn't really kick on with it. Big test and big watch on him this week if he keeps and retains the kicking tees. If he does keep the kicking tee, I will be keeping him in my side for sure. But if he doesn't, he might be a possible move on. I've also got Safeheart, 36. He had a HIA in this, so he missed 15 minutes, but he just didn't look nearly as involved. The Tigers just did not go his edge at all. They were just hammering Luai's side. So, and every time Galvin got the ball, he would always cut back inside. So he was a bit ball starved. So here's someone that's ringing alarm bells for early doors and someone I'm actually trading this week for Haas, as we'll get into later. But yeah, I'm upgrading Safeheart to Haas because out of all and everyone in my team, he's the only one I can feel like I can upgrade. So yeah, obviously the rest of the Knights, I think they're going to do well moving forward. I'd hold your stock. Obviously we've got the buy in round four, but yeah, I think if you started with Marzu, Ponga, or Lucas, you'd be pretty happy. Moving on to the Bunnies Dolphins game. Now, this wasn't one of the best games of the week, but Tommy Gilbert looked unreal. 64 points in about 58 minutes, going about just over a point a minute. He looks to be in for a massive season, and I'm stoked I started with him. We obviously spoke about him in our previous podcast and that he was a discussion point sort of thing. So for him to get 64 points, I'm absolutely stoked with that and massive green ticks. Asako got 96 with a double. He could be a pod option at center wing. Obviously, he did have the double, but they look to be utilizing his wing. And for him to get 96 points, I think you'd be stoked with if you started with him, but I wouldn't be jumping on straight away. We got Finifuiaki, got 48 points. Now he looked pretty good on the eyes. Like he passed the eye test big time. It's just he did end up getting that HIA, and the reports are now out for Lemluelu, who has got a fractured eye socket and is out for 4 to 5 weeks. So obviously we don't need to jump on Finifuiaki this week, but moving forward he could be a big watch around that 360k price range, pulling out a 48. Another very solid saw is Hubner with 45. We're stoked with that for a base price. Played about 60 minutes. I think he's only going to go up in price and scoring. I think he's going to be a big part of Wayne's plans. And yeah, look, he looked to just get involved and get in and amongst it. We got Campbell Graham on 44. A little bit underwhelming if you started with him. He wouldn't be someone I'd be worried about yet, but he would be someone who I'd have a big watch on this week. We've also got Mazulius. Now, we talked him out of him. We talked everyone out of him. And he ended up on 37 points in about 70 something minutes. So he played really big minutes, a lot more minutes than I thought, but that scoring is just how I expected. He did not run the ball at all. He will be a bit of a tackle bot. And if I started with him, there would be a bit of concern early doors, especially, but at least it's in hooker and there aren't that many good hooker options sort of thing. So yeah, Tallis Duncan, obviously my boy, I didn't end up going with him, but got 49 minutes. He's 49 points, sorry. He's just not going to I thought he would get that Hubner sort of lock role, but obviously Hubner's got that role, so he's a massive avoid now. But yeah, apart from that, Colin Matangi, sorry, 65 points, who did well there. Moving on to the next game, Saturday Arvo game, we had the Dragons and the Dogs. Dogs 28, Dragons 20. Tipolotu with a hat trick and the give me my money celebration. Yeah, he looked great. That left edge, we kind of spoke about it in the preseason. That left edge of the Dragons will be where they target Gutho, Holmes, and whoever that winger is. We were hoping for it'd be Fangai but it ended up being Tipolotu. So yeah, he looks great. Don't jump on him straight away. Don't. This is the case with round one. Don't start chasing points. It's only been one round. You don't need to get too worried about it. Have some faith with some of your starting picks. But yeah, he looks really good. So he will be a bit of a watch. And he's a massive pod at 0.03% ownership. So massive shout out if anyone started with him. You got Gutho 113. Now he looks like another fullback pod. He looked to be in everything at the Dragons. Now it's just how well do the Dragons actually do this year and how many tries do they actually score? But he looked to be in and around everything good that the Dragons were producing. So I really like the pod play actually of Gutherson at fullback. You also got Holmes who got 70. As I said, that left edge kind of killed the Dogs. Obviously, the Dogs ended up winning, but that was where all the Dragons' attack was coming from, that left edge. And I think that we'll see that throughout this season is that left edge is where the majority of the points will come from the Dragons. So from Supercoach options, you should be targeting that left edge in attack. You've also got Couchman. He played massive minutes. Obviously, his brother got that injury to result in the bigger minutes, but at 69 points, massive watch on his minutes this week. If he plays big minutes again at 480k, he obviously is massively underpriced and he does have the handy duel. So he'll be a big watch this week, along with Gula. I was keen on Gula, ended up for 333k for 53 points. I think you'd be stoked with it. He looks a great pick. Again, massive watch on his minutes this week, but things are looking good. And if you started with someone like a Royce Hunt who got about 15 points, if you I would have personally paid up that 50, 60k to pay up for a Gula who looks to have a bit of a solidified role in that Dragon side. Moving on to the Dogs now, we got Tupanua with 103. Obviously, he's not going to be scoring a double every week, so don't kind of flock to him. But he did look good. Connor Tracy, 90. He was impressive. He had plenty of work and plenty of attacking stats to go with that as well. His work rate was good. He was involved in plenty of runs, and then he was also involved in plenty of attack for the Dogs. So he could be a bit of a pod option, especially with that fullback center wing duel there. Apart from that, you got Burden at 58, did well enough. Nothing great, nothing sad. You got Presto at under 50, so he didn't look like he kind of hit his straps as well. I think I think if you've got him, don't worry, hold for sure. But yeah, at that price point, you would be hoping for more. The game didn't really suit him. He didn't get much ball, but yeah, bit of concern around. Obviously, wouldn't be trading him yet, but yes, bit of concern around for him there. Moving on now to the Seagulls Cowboys game, and wowee, that first half from the Seagulls was so impressive. We obviously got Daly Cherry Evans on 130 points. Now, if you started with him, hats off to you. I wouldn't be trading to him, but the Seagulls do look really good. And if you're not running with the Cleary Hines combo, if you're running, say, with a Duffy and one of the Cleary or the Hines, probably I would lock in Cleary first. But Daly, especially if Hines doesn't get the kicking tee back, Daly Cherry Evans becomes a massive pod at 630k. I think he just looked great. He looked in part of everything. That right edge for the Seagulls looked to be where they scored the majority of their points, which is Cherry Evans' side. So yeah, can't knock the buy. Obviously, someone I'm not moving to yet, but if you did start with a Duffy, I would be interested in trying to get the funds to upgrade to a DCE sort of thing. Tommy Turbo 113 obviously didn't have the captaincy on him this week, but yeah, he looked so good. He was in everything. He was breaking the line. He was tackle busting. He was sniffing around any loose ball. He was there. And he is someone this season who I believe I will be captaining a lot. Now, this week he's got the VC because I've got Cleary captain against the Roosters. But yeah, look, he just looked unreal. Was an absolutely everything and is, for me, the biggest must have in Supercoach this year, Tommy Turbo. Moving on, we got Olaquatu producing the goods for owners. That early doors tries for owners would have them absolutely cheering. He looked great, and if I were to be paying up in second row forward, he would be the premium guy to go for. As I said, I would much prefer him over your Eli Katoas and your Hopgoods, and obviously, as we've seen, David Fifita's. I just think with the Seagulls draw, he just has it all. He has the attacking stats, he has the base, he has the offloading game. He just has it all. And it's just really how many Seagulls can we get? Because, yeah, they looked really impressive. Garrick kind of did nothing for 86, so absolutely stoked with that at centre wing, and you can pretty much lock him in for the year. Anyone else to touch on from the Seagulls? Not really. Not you do have Paseka. He would be someone I am interested in. I've actually drafted him in. I brought him in my draft side because this could finally be his year. So it wouldn't be someone I'd be going for, especially for the amount of front row forward options we have in Classic this year. But yeah, he looks really good. He passed the eye test for me, and so I picked him up in draft. So it could be a bit of a pod play if you want to stray away from the masses there. Moving on to the Cowboys, not too much to touch on. They looked terrible. I think they'll be in for a bounce back this week, but yeah, they did not look good at all. You got Scotty Drinkwater, 72, and I think he got about 60 of those points in the last 10 minutes after the Seagulls took all their stars off. So he does heavily rely on these attacking stats, but look, I think he's done a good enough performance. 72, you hold into the Sharks this week. Hopefully the Cowboys can produce some better scores, but it is a tough start to the year for the Cowboys, especially with their draw. And there are some concerns for both Purdue and Duffy on 20, who got 28 and 27 points respectively. I wouldn't be playing either of them this week. If I have them, if I had Purdue, I'd happily hold. Hopefully he can get some attacking stats. We saw in the trial he does have a bit of talent about him. Hopefully the Cowboys can kind of just kick in a gear sort of thing. And then Duffy would be someone I would be concerned with, especially in that high scoring halfback position. You've got plenty of other options. You got your Cleary, you got your Hines, and you got DCE now who's kind of making a claim. So yeah, I wouldn't panic just yet. I'll give him another week, but I think it might be a bit of time because I don't know really if the Cowboys do another performance like they did again this weekend. I don't know how long his spot is secured in this team and that they just revert back. But yeah, if you have him, hold him. Don't play him, obviously. But yeah, look to maybe start tinkering around, see how you can move him on from your squads. And moving on to the final game of the week, we had the Storm and the Eels, and the Storm absolutely blew the Eels away. You got Ryan Pappenhausen, who just looked unreal. He was in everything good from the Storm. He's a massive watch for me. I am heavily considering him now. Obviously, the Storm players have the bye this week and then Penrith in round three, but from round four onwards, he is a massive watch, especially if Iongi is kind of not really making as much cash as we want, or Ponga has the bye, so it could be a little flick job. But yeah, he looked so good. Obviously, he's not kicking anymore, but I think we've kind of seen with Turbo and with Teddy, you don't need these fullbacks who do kick like Ponga does. Like 131 is just a massive score, and he could have got so much more if he didn't stuff up that try assist to Munster when he struck through. But yeah, Munster 99 points, just under a ton. I think if you started with Munster, you'd be cheering. He looks like that the 5'8" to own this year. And he, as we kind of shouted out in the podcast in the preseason, he does look under owned and undervalued. So he's a massive watch for me moving forward. Obviously, again, it'll be around four where I'm looking at a lot of these Storm players. But yeah, he looked great in the eyes as well. Out of the two, I think I would prefer Pappenhausen, but Pappenhausen is a fullback, whereas Munster is a 5'8". And with not that many great 5'8" options this year, I think it could be a play to just lock in Munster early doors and kind of ride the wave with him. You got Jackie Howarth with the 96. He looked great as well. We had big raps on him in the preseason. I couldn't work out a way to fit him into my side, but he will be a massive watch again in round four. because he's only 420k, so he could make a bunch of cash, but also is a part of this Melbourne Storm attack who look absolutely great. We've already shouted it to be they'll be winning the premiership this year, and if they're going to win the premiership and they're going to put a score on most teams, I think you'd want some of the Storm spine or members. So yeah, for me, Munster, Paps, and Howarth all massive watches. Katoa, again, big watch. If you're going up in the gun in the second row forward, I do prefer Olakawatu, but Katoa 85 looked great, scored a try. I think the Storm will score plenty of points this year. You got Jerome Hughes 71. At the halfback option, I would probably stray from Jerome Hughes, especially with his high price to start the year. And we did see him get an early rest on the weekend. But yeah, look, I think the Storm in general, they just look so good. Harry Grant, I think, is the last one I'll touch on here. 61. 61 with a try. Now, you'd be super disappointed if you started with Grant, and obviously you got the bye this week. But I'll just hold. It obviously wasn't a game where there was lots of tackles. It was more just attack, and he did have that attacking stat in a try. But yeah, like not great, and he obviously is premium price. So I I don't knock the sell. I would advise to hold, and if I had him personally, I would hold. But depending on what it does to your side, if you want to drop drop him, get in a Pakes or get in one of these cheapy hookers and upgrade elsewhere, could be an option. Moving on to the Eels, we've got Dylan Brown, 73. Luckily got that swooping play try assist that Iongi possibly should have had. I suppose it's the case of for the Hosking owners, they missed out on that try assist, and then for the Iongi owners, we missed out on this try assist. But Iongi still got a try, scored 69, looked absolutely great on the eyes. He was in everything good from the Eels. Now the Eels, I think they are in for a long season ahead again this season, but I think he could be one of the bright points for the Eels. You've obviously got Hopgood on 58 points. That look, if you started with him, you're not stoked. You're not great with that, especially if you could have gone Olakau'atu in the pretty much same price. But yeah, look, I'll give him another week and reassess. The Eels didn't look good at all. They didn't spend that much time attacking or tackling in Hopgood's case. So yeah, I would hold steady. And as we'll get into now, there have been some massive changes at the Eels. So that is the round one recap. Moving on now to the TLT. I'll just talk about really any key changes and any watches I'm interested in this week. We got the Knights and Dolphins for our Thursday night game. For the Knights, Adam Elliott returns after missing round one and takes over for Brodie Jones. No other changes. For the Dolphins, Finafuiaki and Lemluelu are out, and it forces a restructure with Keeley promoted to 18th man and from 18th man and Mark Nichols joining the bench and returning. Cody Nikorima also returns to the side. Now, Thursday night game, massive shout on VC Ponga if you own him. Also, I think any of the Knights backline should do well, especially on that left edge. They should do well. No one I'd be interested in buying if I didn't start with them. Obviously, the Knights have to buy in round 4. So yeah, I do. Kai Pearce-Paul does pique my interest just a little bit. He scored 59 in base, pretty much. I think he's going to get some attacking stats this year, despite being on the other edge. But he almost scored a try. He's just a bigger body. Scored 59 in base. Looks to have another year under his belt in the NRL. And so I think moving forward, he could be a pod plick. Moving on to the Dolphins now, pretty standard team. I think they'll do better this week with Cody and Cody Nikorima and Katoa in the halves compared to O'Sullivan. I don't really think that combo worked out. So I would expect a bounce back from the Dolphins this week. But then again, I do expect the Knights to perform well at home. I see Tommy Gilbert again, massive watch if you don't own him. If you don't own him, I would be happy to buy him straight away, especially if you've got a safe path and not a Gilbert. I'd be looking to go to a Gilbert. I think he looked great. I think he's in for a big season and he's massively underpriced at 460k. In this game, I have the Knights in a close one. I think the Knights 1 to 12 in this. Their attacks, I'm sure their attack will have copped a spray and especially their execution because that's what really lacked on the weekend against the Tigers. They they had themselves in plenty of good positions, but there were just so many errors and unforced errors as well. They just couldn't complete their sets. So yeah, I have the Knights in this in a close one. Moving on now to the Warriors and the Seagulls. Now, we really do need a bounce back here from Xavier's Wars. That could be half the reason he's not joined the pod. But yeah, the Wars, no real changes from this team. He's stuck solid with the same team that took on Vegas. And so the watches for me is I'm going again with Metcalf. I'm happy to hold him. I am big watch on him though. I want to see him more involved. I want to see him running the line, and I want to see the Warriors looking better in attack. And I think they've got a good test this week against the Seagulls. So yeah, the other watch here is Valmonga. Hopefully he gets more minutes off the bench. He only got like 10, 15 round one. So if he doesn't get more minutes round two, he is someone that is on the chopping block for me personally, especially with the other cheapy options we've got floating around. Moving now on to the Seagulls. We've got one change from them with Josh Aioli coming in at prop for Takiaho, who got injured. Again, captain option, vice captain option is Tommy Turbo in this game. We saw how bad the Warriors performed round one. I think they will perform better, especially at home in round two, but I still just think the Seagulls win this and win this comfortably, 13 plus sort of thing. So if you've got any of the Seagulls blokes, definitely be playing them. And yeah, massive watch if you don't own on Olakau'atu. He's someone I don't own. He's someone I just don't think I can get to, especially because I'm going Haas this week instead. I think I just prefer Haas. I think Haas has, first of all, better upside, more upside, and I think he has a better base, higher average. So I'm going to lock in Haas this week. But yeah, Olakau'atu's a massive on my watch list. So yeah, I have Seagulls 13 plus in this one. Moving on to our second Friday night game, and we got the Panthers and the Roosters. And I think the Panthers, after we saw the performance the Roosters put up against the Broncos in round one, I think the Panthers are gonna towel the Roosters up. I do expect again, like the Warriors, that the Roosters have a bit of a bounce back game, but I think the Panthers will just be too classy here. I've also got a massive watch on in this game, Casey McLean. Obviously, he got the HIA round one with the 3 score, but Metcalf and him are the same price. And obviously, I've got Dewey in centre wing. So I have looked at Metcalf down to Casey McLean because I think that left edge running up against Dom Young and whatnot, I think he's going to score. I think he's in for a big week. And I see him scoring like 90 points. So he's a bit of a watch for me. Obviously, he's got that three in his rolling average, so there's no need to jump straight away. But yeah, massive watch, more so for that position on the left edge for the Panthers. We see also To'o coming back. Obviously, I wouldn't be looking at him. He's extremely high priced. He is a gun, but yeah, I just don't see the attacking stats coming for him to begin the season. From the Roosters, I've kind of mentioned this bench looks very weak, especially in the middle. So it bodes well for Nafu White. And if he doesn't get 50 to 55 minutes this week, he is someone that is on the cutting block, on the chopping block, and someone who I am looking to sell because how if he doesn't play 50, 55 minutes with this bench, I don't know what Robo is doing. Obviously, there's talks that the Roosters are going to be buying Jawed Hargraves back from Hull. They're trying to do that, and they've also, I think they've brought, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed now as well, they've brought Molo from the Dragons over because they are so worried about that forward depth. And we kind of saw it already. Radley got knocked out in the first 10 minutes, which shifted Wong to the edge, where he's starting this week. So yeah, load up on the Panthers on this. I see the Panthers winning 13 plus. I see that left edge from the Panthers scoring the majority of their points. So that's one there for the punters. Moving on now to our first game of Saturday. We got the Dragons and the Bunnies. No major changes here, except obviously Couchman is out. So we've got Blake Laurie replacing him. And yeah, the Dragons are pretty standard. So as I kind of mentioned in the analysis before, the big watch here is on the minutes of really the middles here. So I'll be interested to see how many Laurie gets, as well as Couchman and Gula. I think Gula is probably the one I'm most interested at the moment. because he played about 50 minutes, works at about point per minute. If he gets those sort of minutes again, I think he could be a very good buy come round 3. Moving on now to the Bunnies, there is not many changes. We've got Fletcher Myers coming in to replace Jack Whiten, and Lewis Dodd is listed amongst the reserves. So Humphreys has kept the 7 spot. Now, again, if you got Duffy, he is someone that he looked good, right? Like he kicked and kicked and kicked this game. He obviously Cody isn't that kicker for the Bunnies, but yeah, Jamie, if I started with him, you'd be stoked. And for someone with Duffy, if you can't afford to go up to a gun, which I would advise, Humphreys would be kind of that middle ground, 100k more, who I'd be looking at. He looks great in a Bunny side that I think will only get better, and especially his connections with the team should only get better as well. We got Hubner again in the starting 13 and Duncan on the bench. In this game, this should be a bit of a good game. I have the Dragons winning this. I don't know. I think the Dragons winning this in a very close one by 4 or 6 points, I think. I think the Dragons at home, they'll be disappointed after not winning round 1, but kind of coming and finishing that round 1 game really well. Yeah, I think it's just a big game for the Drags at home. I think they'll get the Chockies, but I wouldn't be again surprised the Bunnies struggle, but they could end up clutching up as they did last week. Moving on to our second game of Saturday, of Super Saturday, we got the Cows and the Sharks. I suppose the big talking point out of this from the Cowboys is what's his name? Jeremiah Nanai dropped. The Australian representative has been dropped. And I think this is a massive statement from Payton. So everyone's job is on watch. Everyone has, like, they played so bad last week. And I think he needed to make changes. And I think it sent a big wake up call out to the squad that, like, no spot is safe in this side. So obviously Nanai has that attacking upside and whatnot, but his defense is terrible. I think he missed that many tackles. I think he's missed 30 tackles over the past 6 games he's played, and it's just unacceptable at NRL standard, and it led to a couple of tries on the weekend. So yeah, obviously Duffy and Purdue have kept their spots in the side for now. So yeah, these are the guys that I'd be holding in my team. Wouldn't be playing at all in my side this week, but just keeping an eye on the late changes in case someone does get dropped. As in, like, I think Labart could come in for Purdue, and then obviously Clifford coming in for Duffy. But again, watch and wait. We'll see how the Cowboys go this week. Onto the Sharks now, and the Sharks is unchanged team. So it's the same team that ran out from Vegas. Big watch on Hines for this. Hopefully, we see him with the kicking tee back. There's been reports that he didn't have the kicking tee round 1 because he was carrying a niggle. It's been 2 weeks since that round 1 game, so this is the test for him. If he doesn't kick, he is on the chopping block for me. If he doesn't perform, I think he will perform. I have faith in him. I think he should score about, I'm going to go 90 points. I think the Sharks, again, despite the Cows being towed last weekend, I think the Sharks will probably put on a score against the Cowboys. I don't think it will be as significant as the last game. I see like a 30-22 to the Sharks in this game. But yeah, if you got Hines, lock him in, but big watch on him this week. Moving on to our final game of Super Saturday for the week, and it's Raiders Broncos. I reckon this is going to be a great game on Saturday night. The Raiders will be up for it, but also the Broncos will as well. The Broncos won't get it as easy, especially the Raiders forward pack is a lot better than the Roosters forward pack, but like, how many Broncos is too many at this point? They looked so good in that first game. I'm massive on them. I think any of your Broncos players, you can make a good case to start them. I think I am starting most of my Broncos players as well. But yeah, I think this will be a great game. Really, to wrap up Super Saturday, we've got no changes, I don't think, from the Broncos side, is it? Yeah, he's stuck to the same 17. And then for the Raiders, Tarpany has been suspended as well as Savage. So Papali comes in at prop and Smithies comes in at lock. We've also got Nicholson on the bench. So if you did start with Hosking, I think major concerns, because with that bench, I just don't see him playing the 80 minutes, which is what owners own for, even 60 minutes again. I think he might get, yeah, about 55, 60 minutes and cap out against about that. But yeah, I think that upside has kind of gone from him. Also, massive watch on Horse. I think he should be in for big minutes again. Lock him in for about 60 points, I say. And yeah, KO Weeks, KO Weeks, KO Weeks. He's the contentious, one of the blokes of contention in my team this week. And to get that upgrade of Safe Heart to Haas, I need to fund it somehow. And KO Weeks is the guy that's going, I believe. So yeah, I'm getting rid of KO Weeks this week just because like he's going to be an up and down player this year in Supercoach. And he's just someone that's just not worth the headache for me. And I just rather lock in Haas. Like my gut is telling me to get Haas. He looks so good, and so I just much prefer Haas in my team over Weeks. Obviously, I have to sacrifice Safe Hearth, but then I'm also bringing in Gasevsky. So those are my trades for this week. Gasevsky obviously keeps the starting edge spot, and I think he's going to keep this spot moving forward. So yeah, if you didn't start with him, I would wait a week if you can, but I do not like if you had to go someone early this week. I think Gostevsky is someone you can go early in. We saw he got 80 minutes even when Piacora was on the field for all of about 1 minute. So yeah, in this game I have the Broncos winning, but in a closer one, and it won't be as high scoring. I think it will be. I see like a 24 to 30 to 10, 20 sort of thing. But yeah, the Broncos should win that and it should be 13 plus. Moving on to my Tigers and the first game of Sunday, we got the Tigers Eels. Now this reeks of points. I see plenty of points coming from this game. So if any of your Eels players, any of your Tigers players, I would be starting them. I've got the Tigers winning this as well. Obviously, we've got Buller back, so some massive inclusions for the Tigers. We've got Buller back, and we've also got Appy back, so I think that will just help our spine fluidity. Like I think we did look a bit lost against the Knights. So this is really one of the best full strength team the Tigers have put out in the past 3 years. So yeah, look, I'm locking in a win for the Tigers here. I think we will get the dub against the Eels. Obviously, the Eels are at home, and the Eels probably do have. They don't really even have that good a team, do they? Like they got Dill Brown, who's obviously class, but there was a few changes, obviously, from the Eels. They've brought Sean Lane back in and they've completely dropped Tulangi. So if you started with him, we were keen on him in the preseason. Obviously, the final preseason trial and no Moses kind of confirmed it for us to avoid Tulangi. But if you ended up sticking with Tulangi, he's a must trade out. He's gone. He is terrible. His defense is shithouse. He's just not good at all. So if you have him, definitely move him on. Apart from that, they've brought in a new winger and they've taken out Tago. So yeah, not too much changes in these games. I think this will be a good game. I think this will be one of the better games to watch this weekend, points wise and Supercoach wise. I see plenty of these guys doing well. This bench again reads well for Terrell May. I see Terrell getting about 60, 65 minutes again, as like he did last week. Roycey Hunt, bit of concern if you started with him. He got good. The good signs are he got about 30 minutes, but his work rate was just right down. I think he scored about 20 points in 30 minutes. So big watch on him moving forward. But yes, I have the Tigers. I have the Tigers in a close one in this game. Moving on to the final game of the week, which should be a cracker if you're at Belmore. It's the Dogs and the Titans. So I think the Dogs will be massively up for this just because it is at Belmore and I think this is their only game at Belmore this year. So I'd expect a big performance from the Doggies as a whole. So just temper expectations, I would say, with the Titans. But I kind of think the main talking points, especially from this Titans side, is David Fafita on the bench. Now that is a massive kick in the dick if you started with David Fafita, if you've paid up just for him to sit on the bench. Look, I still see him getting 60 points. We know David Fafita can still score massive points in reduced minutes. But yeah, if I started with him, that one would sting, and I would probably hold this week, see how it goes. But he would be someone that would be on the cutting block early doors. It's just super annoying that he's benched, which has surprised me. But Desi has decided to opt for the Haas boy. So I still see David Fafita getting big minutes. I think this bench reads really well for Tino. I think if you got Tino, or even if you don't have Tino, massive watch on Tino this week. It's great to see he's back in footy. And this is actually his last game, I'm pretty sure. It was against the Dogs in the NRL. So he's back. The Titans are back. I have the Doggies in a close one. Now, I have a massive watch here on the Titans on Kinney, Brimson, and Campbell. I'm kind of interested in all three of them. And so this is a big game for me to see how they perform because they could all be coming into my side moving forward. But yeah, from the Dogs, there wasn't too many changes. Joshy Curran has obviously come back for Harry Hayes. And yeah, look, like this bench, again, it'll be interesting to see how many minutes Preston does play. If you've got Preston, obviously stick strong with him. But yeah, I got the Doggies here in a close one. But again, I think Sunday footy should be great viewing. We got two pretty good games in Supercoach and in NRL. So that wraps up the teams list analysis. Now, moving on quickly. Obviously, it's just me this week, so it's a bit harder to just talk for the whole time, but I'm trying my best here. We're going to do my live trades. So we've got Safehearth out. Look, you can hold him if you want, but just with the minutes, just with all the concerns, with all the worries, I'm going to move him on because I am so keen in Payne Haas. So I've got Payne Haas coming in for safe half, pushing him Haas up to the front row and Tino down to the second row. Now, as I've mentioned already, I'm also getting rid of KO Weeks here. We're shifting Dewey into 5'8". We're shifting Dylan Lucas down to centre wing, and we're bringing in Gasevsky at second row. This leaves me with 80k in the bank. Now, I could go Nafu White over Safe Hearth, which I am considering and am tinkering with, but at this point in time, I think I'm more interested in selling Safe Hearth because, first of all, it frees up a bit more money in the bank for next week, which I'm sure a lot of us will be boosting. But also, Nafu White did hit his BE, and there is more potential for him, I think, to perform better. So, yeah, at that point, Haas is just a must for me. I am moving everything to get him in this week. I want to just lock him in, lock my boy Haas in for the year. I've obviously played Haas. I've obviously played golf with Haas before, and a bit of a local in West End as well. So we're mates. So I got to get past my boy, and I can't believe I didn't start with him. Bit of an oversight there, just with that many options in front of my forward. But yeah, look, must have been Haas this week. For me, my gut is telling me do everything you can to get Haas in. I think he's in for a massive season. I think we're going to see him in a role kind of not seen before under Maguire. I think he's been given that roam, that license to roam, especially hitting the edge, hitting that centers, getting those tackle breaks, getting the offload. And I think Maguire is front loading him. So he's telling Haas, go out there, give it your all for the first 30, then we'll take you off. And front loading Haas has just turned into a beast. He's just everywhere. So yeah, I'm absolutely massive on Haas. He's in my side for the week. And for the cheapie, I could switch Dylan Lucas back to second row forward and bring in Tamale, but obviously Xavier Savage has got that suspension, so Tamale was going to keep the spot no matter what. And I think Tamale is a better trade in next week. I'm happier to go with Kuskevsky this week. It feels like a bit of more safer and secure. So we'll lock those trades in. We'll optimize the team. They always get the reserves wrong though, so we will start Corey Pakes against the Raiders over Sandon Smith. We've got Haas main front row forward. I absolutely love the look of that front row forward. Nafu White gets a reserve. I'm also loving the look of my second row forward as well now. I've got Tino, Gilbert, and Horse. I think all are great options. But obviously the bench is a bit weak, not good on the eyes, but my plan is to move Valmonga on, especially if he doesn't get the minutes next week. Get him out, shift Lucas back up to second row and bring in Tamale. But for now, for this week alone as well, that is how we're rolling in the second row. We've got Cleary, who is going to be my captain for this week, and we'll also vice captain Hine. I think Cleary against those shocking Roosters will just go ham. I think another good option is Turbo, so he's going to get my vice captain over Ponga. I think Turbo does have the better matchup against the Warriors compared to the Dolphins, who I think are just a better team sort of as a whole. But yeah, look, I'm not going to be playing Metcalf. I'll be playing Iongi. and I'll be playing Shibasaki. So that is my trades and that is my team for this week. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know any comments. Let me know what you think of the team, what you think of the trades. Let me know what you think of Haas. Are you guys moving heaven and earth to bring him in? Because he like, I just can't reiterate how good he looked that first 30-minute stint. That entirely has made me bring him in. I think we're going to see plenty more of that moving forward. And yeah, I just want to lock in his points this year, lock in my front row forward as well. I got Haas and May now, and I don't see myself touching that now. I've got Tino, Gilbert, and Horse in second row, which I absolutely love. Cleary, Hines at half. 5'8", bit of contention here. Dewey and Metcalf, so big watch there. And especially big watch on big watch on Brimson and Jaden Campbell, who I'm interested in moving to if Metcalf doesn't perform again. Loving my center wing. We've got Garrick, Lucas, Marzu, and RTS. Like, absolutely lock that in. And we're reserving Shibasaki this week against the Raiders. I think that left edge of the Broncos does well. And I think he's going to get some attacking stats. So I'll be playing him this week over sort of Metcalf, Gosevsky, Hubner, and Smith and Toya, just because he has, in my opinion, that more upside. And yeah, wrapping it out with Turbo VC, Iongi reserved, and Kalen Ponga. So those are my trade plans. That's how I'm set up for this week. Now, Xavier has sent through his trades, so I will quickly show you Xavier's team and talk about Xavier's trades. Now, he is looking at doing 2 trades as well this week. So if we just bring up his side, as again, we're all the way down here. So you guys have absolutely killed it to start the season. So we're great to see. Awesome to see that. Xavier's plans are, so this is his team. This is his team for last week. His plans is, who's he gone? He has gone Burden in, Metcalf out. So he's selling Metcalf straight away for Burden. And then he's selling Wong, is it? No. He's selling selling Hopgood to Gilbert, which I like. I don't know if I would be selling Hopgood just yet, but I love the Gilbert purchase. And then he's upgrading Metcalf to Burden, who I don't know if I would be moving on Burden straight away, but yes, those are Xavier's trades for the weeks. And for skippers, he's the same as me. VC Turbo and C on Cleary. He's also slightly considering Metcalf to McLean, as I mentioned, but yeah, Hosking is also on the chopping block for him. So a bit of panic stations with Xavier out at sea on the cruise. But yes, those are his sort of trade plans and thoughts this week. He'll be back next week. I'll be back next week for the next episode. But yes, I think that covers everything this week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. We really do appreciate all the feedback and all the engagement we're getting. We're doing this as a bit of a hobby, just for a bit of fun. Obviously, there was no Xavier here this week, so I've had to kind of step up and do the whole thing. Let me know how I went. Let me know if you would prefer to just sort of do the teams list review and then sort of trade talks, or if we like that review of the games, the review of last week's, as well as the TLT analysis, as well as trades. But yes, good luck to all you guys out there this week in SuperCoach. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know who you will be captaining this week. But yes, thanks for listening, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.